Well, good morning, everybody. It's great to see so many of you. First of all, I want to thank you very much for making the time to be with us today on a Tuesday. Usually webinars are on Thursdays, but I had a scheduling conflict, so happy to see everyone here. You'll notice that we changed our platform to the regular Zoom platform. It's a little bit more interactive. If you want to have your cameras turned on, I guess you can maybe send a little request to Craig, but otherwise, so happy to see so many of you here today. And as always, our special guest today is actually my co-host and friend, Craig Pike. Craig has been with us since day one, since we started doing these webinars. And I was talking with Craig the other day. I said, Craig, you know what? You're always so excited about these webinars, and you are so positive. And I wanted to ask you if you wouldn't mind sharing some of the things that you get from these webinars with our guests today that you have used in your life to live a life filled with love, laughter, and happiness. So, Craig, thank you for being with me again today as not only my co-host, but my guest. I hope Becky and the kids are doing well, first of all. And again, thank you for being here, Craig. I really appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Michael. It was funny when Michael asked me to do this. It was in an email, and I didn't read it thoroughly. And then we had a conversation, and you said, yeah. So I was thinking, you could come on, and I remember as soon as I heard that, I was like, oh. I got really nervous and stressed out in a good way, because I was just like, whoa. One, you must be scratching the bottom of the barrel for guests because you're doing it to me. I'm just kidding. But and then I thought, oh my gosh, the people that you've had on Nad, you've had on Gabe, and then Randy Taylor, right? And just thinking, what do I have to offer anything like to this conversation, right? And so that was the part that was stressful. And Becky and the kids and I we went away to the cottage this past weekend, and so it was thinking about that more and just thinking about what do I want to say, like what do I want to get across here, right? I don't have this is something that is very new for me. So when I took over for Cassie, who was helping me run these originally, that was about a year ago. I think it was October that was my first one.
Yeah, you're right.
And I remember thinking, like, none of the stuff that you talk about was a part of my life at all, right?
Yeah.
The guests that you've had on, they've been doing these things for years, and so have you. And so initially, back then, it was kind of intimidating. And I remember thinking, wow, I gotta kind of wrap my head around this and really dive into it. And I didn't dive headfirst into it. I just kind of sat back, and then I think one of the first things I noticed was after every single one of these, and I'm sure for those of you who are listening, it must be the same for you, because after they're done, I said this last time with Randy, I always feel so energized and like just not that my heart is full, because I know that sounds kind of cheesy, but just that it's full of positivity. And I know that sounds cheesy too, but most of you know me, and yeah, you've heard me present before about technology, and I am full of cheese, but I just always feel so great after these things. And so that was a big thing. And even on days, there's been days where I've woken up, and today was kind of one of those days, right? I've woke up and I just not on the wrong side of the bed, but just not feeling, just don't have the.
Craig, you're just being human, right? I mean, if anybody who says to me they get up every day eating on top of the world, I'm going to say that either on some very good medication or they're drinking something very strong. We're human beings, Craig, and our moods, ebb and flow depending on what's going on in our lives. Okay, and I've shared this with everyone of the audience here, is that I've got those days too. There are days when I get up in the morning and I'm just saying, you know what, I'm just not feeling it. However, I go through my routine, right? I have my meditation. It keeps me in a very calm place. I say my affirmations. Something about saying your affirmations out loud, that resonates with the vibration of your body, and it elevates your energy level, right? And again, this is why we're here today, Craig. I'd love to hear of all these months of being with me Can you share some of the things that you've taken away and applied to your life, and maybe even influence Becky and the kids, right? Because kids are so influential at young ages, right? And if we can, introduce them to positive ideas and concepts that they can grasp, that's huge effect on their lives as they grow up, and they grow up very fast. Trust me. Okay, so like we're just being humans, Craig. When you get up and you're not feeling it, that's okay. Just know that you have techniques and mechanisms at your fingertips, literally, that you can use to, put you in a good place, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? That's where I was going with that was, those hard days before I started doing these things with you. Those hard days were just kind of float through them. Whereas now, like this morning, right, waking up not feeling that, I know that I'm going to be on here with you, and I know, and I can already feel, I don't know what the word is,
You
but
feel my love, Craig. You
energized.
feel my
And
love.
it's
That's what it is. You feel my
love,
love.
yeah, that's true. And I know that, and it's already turning my day around, and so there's those things. There's Randy said something that I really liked in the last webinar, and this has stuck with me. And I've told a couple of my friends about it too. So he was talking about, and his example was, I don't know if he was in a car accident the day before the webinar, or if that was just an example he was using. He was talking about how he was letting the negativity and those reliving those negative emotions from that car accident, he was letting that impact today.
Yeah.
And I really like that. And it's such a simple thing, but that is one of the things that I've really started to think about. And some things, of course, they're going to plague our brains, and that's okay. But there are things that I've used that sorry, his technique was, okay, he said I needed to stop, refocus myself, and get those negative things out so that I can proceed with my day in the way that I want it to go. And that has been a big thing for me. And I've used that, and it's actually worked a bunch of times over the past month, where I've been like, okay, no, I'm controlling today. And so that's been a really, really big one for me
Yeah.
is this something that I can change? What's plaguing my brain? Can I change that? Or am I just reliving a bad memory? Why am I doing that? Why am I putting myself through that? So let's stop. Let's, not focus on that. The other thing you're talking about with family, yeah, that's a really big one that I've really thought about over the past year since you've been doing these things. Is you talk about focusing on the right people,
Yeah.
and really, how are you spending your time, right?
Yeah.
And that has been something that I've really been thinking about, especially over COVID kind of made it easy, because we're spending a lot of time with our families, right?
Yeah.
But COVID kind of gave me an opportunity to really look at the people that I was spending time with outside of my family and say, okay, I'm not seeing them at all anymore, right? Because we weren't allowed to. I'm starting to now. But have I missed those people? What kind of an impact have they had on my life? And now that we come back into this where we can start to be social again,
Yeah.
who do I really want to focus on, and how much do I want them to be a part of my life? Is this a friend who I used to see, let's say, once every week? Do I want to continue seeing them once every week, or I want this to be for 2 weeks? And what kind of influences does he bring to my life, right? Speaking about one of my good friends. And so that's been interesting. The other thing I've been thinking a lot about lately is I'm really into making lists
Yeah.
about everything. Whether if something's stressing me out, I usually make a list about it, right? Before I go to the cottage, we just went to the cottage, I made a huge list about what I need to pack and all those things. It just helps ease my mind.
Yeah.
And I've started making lists now about people and things and ideas of where I want to focus my time, because there are so many days where I just feel like I'm floating through the day, just kind of going with it. See, your dog knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I'm really
Abby
resonating.
knows exactly what you're talking about,
Yeah.
Craig. She's right here.
But I've been listening, and because you're talking about kids, right? And that's the thing. My kids are young enough that they still want to hang out with me. They're still craving my attention. My son is getting older. He's
Yeah.
12, or sorry, he's 11. He's not 12 yet.
Yeah.
Um, and I know that I want more quality time with them, and so they obviously have floated to the top of my list, right? and then listing beneath that, like, okay, well, what does that quality time look like? How often does it happen?
Yeah.
Those kinds of things, having that list of people, of where I want my time to go and how I'm going to be spending that time
Yeah.
has really helped eliminate that, not eliminate it completely, but subdue that floating feeling of floating
Yeah.
through.
You know, Craig, it's so beautiful to hear you share these personal, things that you're using in your life. And, you hit on some great points. When you talk about focusing, refocusing on the present, right? Because when you really think about it, so many times we spend too much time thinking about the past or living in the past, right?
Mhm.
Or thinking about the future and getting all worked up. And really, the only moment that we can control is now, right? When you really think about it, this time now. And so for you to take that moment to refocus, it's so wonderful to hear. You talk about making the lists, and that's like having goals, right?
Yeah,
Keeps
yeah,
you focused. And we've talked about this. With I know that with Gabe, we talked about it also, where we say that sometimes on your bus of life, you're the driver of the bus of life. You're talking about, who do I want to spend more time with, right? Because unfortunately, sometimes the people that are not good for you, Craig, are people that are family,
yeah.
and
You've said that
that
many times before,
that
right?
can be challenging at times, right?
Yeah,
And for all the audience members, we all have somebody in our family that is that person. It could be one person, it could be a bunch of people, right? But we all know who they are. And it's just unfortunate that some people are just in that negative vibration. And it's like when you're around them, you feel like your life is being sucked out of you. You got to get away, right? So, Craig, good for you. Those are great, great points. Anyway, I'm talking. You should be talking. Keep
no,
sharing.
no, Michael, you always say that this is supposed to be a conversation and
It's
back
a
and forth, and
conversation.
that's how it is. So I'm not sitting here just waiting to spill the beans about everything I want to say, you know.
No,
But
but this is great. This is great stuff. Now, please, Craig, please share. This
well,
is
so the
fantastic. I know
listing
the audience
have
are all
been
engaged here.
the other thing. Sorry, I'm peeking over at my list. Just um, the other thing that was that, and I didn't take this. You've never spoken about this directly, but it's through all of the things that you've said and the guests that you've had on that has really helped me with this. So let me start over. For me, exercise, and I know it is for you too. Exercise is a it's an important thing. It's a big deal. It's part of my daily life, right? And I really love it. Like these, at the end of it, man, do I ever feel on a high? You know,
Yeah,
these ones, oddly enough, are I feel like more of a high. But
yeah,
exercise is really important, and I've noticed over the past few years that there's been times, usually about a week, where my brain can't do it. Like we just can't do it. I work out usually every day. Um,
wow,
and there's times where I just, like I said, my brain's like, no, no. And even if I push through, there have been times where I've tried to do that, right? I push through
yeah,
during the workout. I feel crummy. I'm dogging it, right? Whatever, all those things, right?
yeah,
And after listening to these things for the past year, what I've started to do the past two times that that's happened happens maybe once every 3 months or so, right? Where I get into that phase. And I don't like that phase. But what has really helped is accepting it, is accepting that I can't actually work out right now. So rather than fighting with myself to try and get myself to do it,
yeah,
I I've just started to the past two times accept, okay, this is what it is.
right.
And I can't believe how much of a difference that has made. I the week goes by. I'm like, yep, I know I'm not working out this week. That's fine. I know that my brain will change in about a week's time and I'll be right back into it. But accepting that has been huge for me. And I know I got that from you and from the things that you've been saying.
Well, thank you, Craig. And that's so important, Craig, because there are times when our physical bodies will say to us, we need a break, but we don't listen, right? And I give you an example. And the fact that you work out every day is phenomenal. And I think I mentioned this in the past. I follow Dwayne The Rock Johnson on Instagram, and he
Mhm.
put a message out I think it was early this year, where he says, whatever you do every day or during the week that keeps you in a good place, protect it at all cost.
Yeah, I
Right?
would be
Whatever you
saying that.
do during the day or throughout the week that keeps you in a good place, protect it at all costs. And for him, it's obviously working out in the gym. For me and yourself, Greg, very similar, right? You work out every day. I'm with my trainer 3 days a week, and I go on a fourth day myself. But there are times, Craig, when your body just says, you know what, I need a break. And here's an example. Last night I was with my trainer and we're doing leg presses, and I started to feel a bit of pain in my right knee. And I said, Dave, something doesn't feel right here. Let's do some analysis here and figure out what's going on. In the long run, you know what it was? My foot position was not in the right place on on the equipment, right?
Oh.
That was causing some pain. But my point being that your body will tell you things, and there are times that we ignore it.
Hmm.
And my message to my audience today and yourself, Craig, is when your body speaks to you about something and doesn't feel right, you have to listen. Because I think a lot of us will say, you know what, it's nothing, it'll go away. And maybe it is nothing, maybe it will go away. But if that pain or that that feeling of uncomfortableness continues, you need to be aware. Our body speaks with us. So, Craig, it's okay to surrender, right? It's okay to surrender and say, you know what, I'm not going to work out today. So good for you, Craig, for recognizing that, because it's just your body's way of telling you, I need a break, right?
Well, for me, it was such a big thing to recognize that, because not only did my body need a break, but to get rid of the stress and anxiety of being angry at myself
Yeah,
for not working out today
yeah,
and not working out tomorrow, and to feel like, what is wrong with me? Why can I? And then to then go
yeah,
and just accept it,
yeah,
and all of that stress and anxiety went away, and that was a significantly, the past 2 times,
yeah,
significantly better weeks, filled
yeah.
with much more positivity, as opposed to what I was doing before, which was just filling it with negativity.
But Craig, I wonder how many of us on this webinar right now, or just in general, how many of the population on this earth beat ourselves up, right?
Hmm.
We mentally beat ourselves up because we say, oh, I'm not good at this, or I didn't train enough, right? Right? When, just accept who you are. It is what it is, and just look to the future. And because, Craig, we've talked about this, right? We can impact who we are and who we become in the future by not only doing things like meditation and visualization and affirmations and writing down goals, but also reading books, listening. For me, it's listening to books because I don't
Yeah.
spend a lot of time reading. I like to sit in my car and listen to books. But filling our minds with positive things, right? That's how we impact change. So, Craig, you touched on a really, really good point there, my friend. Thank you for sharing that. That's fantastic.
The other thing, the last, I guess, thing that I want to share with the audience is, again, hearing you and hearing Gabe and Nat and Randy talk about this. You guys have ingrained it so much in your life, and that part for me was wow, you guys are leaps and bounds ahead of me, right? I mean, you did a webinar about meditation, right? And I remember at the end of that one, I had a lot of questions about meditation, and I think we spoke afterwards, and you gave me some book recommendations. Um, so it was maybe it was the spring, I found an audiobook, Beginner's Guide to Meditation. And because I was like, well, where do I start with this? How do you mention it, but how do I get into this, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And I don't remember. Well, it was called A Beginner's Guide to Meditation. The guy's voice is kind of cheesy, but honestly, in the first 10 minutes, it was really great. Because he walked you through just a short little meditative exercise. And I didn't, I went into it thinking, okay, look, I know that this is real, but it's, a little bit hokey. But then he went through that exercise, and it, it, yeah, it worked. Like
yeah,
just the way that it put me into a really interesting, not trance, but I don't know the right word. But
yeah,
so it's things like that where, okay, I'm not into this like you are, but I'm getting there and I'm going at my own pace. And the things that you talk about, some of them really strike a chord with me, right? So, that, like I said, focusing on the right people, listing things out, how I want to spend my time, meditation. That's something that, okay, I want to start getting into. Randy mentioned last podcast the way he starts his day. He finds YouTube videos about, he didn't go too much into it, but about positivity thing, and just, I think, YouTube videos speaking to you as the viewer and kind of building you up. And I remember initially hearing that and thinking, well, that sounds kind of cheesy, right? Because here you are, you're basically just, hey, fill me up with all this positivity, make me feel good. But and then the more and more I thought about it, and the more and more I remember how I felt after every single one of these. That works. And that's something that I started to search for. And I've added a few of those to a new playlist on YouTube.
Excellent.
And it's kind of interesting. So even though I'm taking very small steps, I think that's what I wanted to really share with the audience and you today, was even though I'm going at a very slow pace, the past year, there have been a lot of changes. And I know as I look back, when you asked me to join this and I look back, I'm like, wow, actually, I have employed a lot of the different tools that you have been talking about over the past year. And they have made seemingly small, but looking back, pretty big impacts on my life, because now
Beautiful.
some of them are becoming second nature.
Wow. Wow, wow. Craig, you're giving me goosebumps, my friend. Wow. And you know, the fact that you're watching some of these positive messages, Craig, what you're doing is, feeding your mind, right? Because
Mhm.
if you remember way back when I talked about, there's ways to control your environment and create the environment what you want it to be, right? And one of those things is to be aware of what you feed your mind. I was at my parents' house just yesterday, and they had CNN on, and I said to my dad, Dad, honestly, I don't watch the news. It's very negative. He said,
Mhm.
okay, I'll turn it off, and we turned it off, right? And I don't know about yourself, Craig, and maybe for some of the audience members, but you try watching like a news network channel for an hour. If you're not depressed when you're done, maybe you're not listening, maybe the volume's not turned high enough, but I tell you, just watching CNN for that like 3 minutes, I was at my parents' house. I was going, man, this is not good. It's just very negative energy. So yeah,
It's true, but you know what's
I'm
interesting about
happy that you're
that?
feeding your mind with positive things. Sorry, go ahead, Craig.
No, that's good. What's so interesting about that example that you brought up is I have a similar one with the Today Show on NBC or whatever it is, right? So my wife and I moved, and the kids that came with us, sadly, that we moved houses in August, and before that we had cable, we had Rogers Cable, and at the start of COVID, we're like, what is going on in the world, right? So every morning we would watch the Today Show, and I really liked their hosts, right? And then it got to the point 6 months in where I started to take a step back from that, because I was like, I don't like the way I feel after this. And then we moved here, we ditched cable. We don't have the ability to watch the Today Show anymore.
Yeah.
And I don't miss it. There is no part of me that misses it. I feel a little bit disconnected from the world, but I actually kind of like that, because the part I feel disconnected with is the negative part,
Right.
and so you're absolutely right about that. But the interesting thing is that news can be very addictive, and I found it very addictive, especially when Trump was the president, because he was just, what baloney is he saying now, right?
Yeah, yeah,
But all of those things can be very addictive,
yeah.
and it's hard to recognize that, and then to take a step back,
Yeah,
right?
and Craig, I'm not saying not to watch the news. Like, don't
No,
get
no,
me wrong.
no.
Whenever I need to know something, I go onto Google, right? And I just pull up Google and I will search what I want, because we have to stay current. But again, I'm not going to watch the news 24/7, right? When I need more information, I will go on to Google and I'll get my news from Google, right? Or wherever you get your news from, right?
Yeah.
But the point is, be very aware of what you are putting in your mind every morning or every day or throughout the day, right? Take what you need in order to do what you have to do to get out of it what you need to get. However, if it's making you feel not good by the time you're done watching that stuff, whatever it is, you might want to ask yourself, is this really beneficial to myself, right? Because mental health and being in a good place is such a challenge in life today, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Especially this past year and a half, right? For
What's
sure.
that?
Especially the past year and a half.
Oh, absolutely, Craig. I mean, this is why we started these webinars, was because, just, out and about watching, the world and saying, wow, this is really impacting a lot of people. So I'm so grateful for my audience and, being with me We've been doing this for over a year now, and so happy that you're still with me. And I wish we could be together in person. And some of you on today's webinar, we have met in person, which is fantastic, and I look forward to that. And Craig, sometimes I know we talked about when I asked you to be a guest. Like the reason I asked you is because you partake in these webinars and you are sharing things that you're learning. And this is why I go to the audience members to ask them to be guests. Like I can bring the experts that are motivational speakers or whatever, scientists, whatever. But I just find that the guests that are here with us are the ones that want to share and they're learning, right? And they're applying these things. Who better wouldn't I want to have as a guest, right?
Well, yeah,
So
and
first,
I like that
and
idea.
some of you
Right.
out there, I've asked you to be audience members, so I hope you're really considering it. I'm going to continue to ask people to be audience members because I just find that these conversations, for everybody, our lives are so different, but they're so similar. And when we share our experiences with others, they now realize, you know what? That's not just only me. I guess there's other people that have these challenges, right? Because sometimes we feel so all alone, right?
And it's nice to hear what they do and how they do it and to steal their ideas, honestly, because there's some things, like I said, I know I've heard before. I'm listening to what you're saying. It's like, well, that's not going to work for me. But then, something else you say, it's like, oh, I can do that, right? Or Nat is on and he has some ideas about
Yeah.
how he brings things in. It's like, okay, I can't do that. I can't do that. That doesn't connect with me. That does, though. I'm stealing it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Craig, I'm watching the time. And is there anything else you'd like to share with the audience members, my friend?
I don't know. Well, you guys
I
all
mean,
know
you've
me,
shared so much, and
so I can talk
I really
forever. But
thank you, my friend. Really
yeah,
thank you.
no, I think that honestly, the biggest thing was regardless of where you are in this process,
Yeah.
it's like I said, I'm very much at the beginning, and when you asked me, it was very intimidating. But I got over that and realized, but it doesn't matter. And I want to share with people who maybe haven't embraced it as much as you have. Like, okay, well, this is how I've done it, and I'm slow, and I didn't dive right in, but these are the things that I'm doing, and I already can see that they're growing and making me want to learn more about different things
Right.
through meditation, those kinds of things, and that's really interesting. And so I know that, and it's becoming very addictive.
Yeah.
So you can't ever stop doing these every month because I like feeling this way.
And Craig, just so you know, it's not a race, my friend, okay? When I joined the life insurance industry in 1990, I knew nothing about this stuff, okay? Yes, I had people that were influencing my life that helped me to get to where I am, but I can tell you, the Michael today is a very different Michael than the Michael back in 1990, okay? And I'm so happy that I joined this industry and I've learned so much, and it's blessed my life and my family's life, and it's brought so many great friends into my life. So again, just being grateful every day, that's a huge one, right? Craig, I just want to thank you so much for sharing, and I know the audience members do appreciate what you're saying because I know that a number of them can also identify with what you're saying, okay? But one last advice for you, my friend, it's not a race, okay? We all grow at our own pace,
I
okay?
think I've got that now, but yeah, I agree.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you for having me
Are
on.
there any questions from the audience members, Craig? Or any comments?
Julia, well, there was a bunch of chat going on at the beginning before we all got going with people
All
just
right.
saying hi to each other, which was actually really nice and
Yeah.
kind of made me think maybe it would be fun sometime, just throwing this out there, to set up a call where we can have all of our videos on and I don't know, just everyone talk. I don't know, it's food for thought, Michael. But now Juliana just
Absolutely.
says, great comments from you both. Mindfulness is essential and needs to be practiced. And I
Thank you.
think that's
Thank you,
great.
Giuliano.
Oh, and
Thank
Nat
you.
just says, here, can we do this live one day? Yeah, where I'd like that. So I think he's kind of saying the same thing. Like, that'd be kind of neat. We all come in here, we all have our videos on if you want to. There's no pressure, right? And that'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I think that'd be fun. So it is so like have a live webinar and audience members sharing, right?
Yeah.
You know what? I like it. Why don't we maybe queue that up for December?
That could be fun. I like it.
And that hey, a conversation with all my friends. How's that sound?
Yeah.
For
I'll
those
have
of
to get
you,
all dressed up again. Well, not dressed up, but this morning I was like, I said to my wife, I was like, I got to put on a nicer shirt because normally I'd be down here in a crummy t-shirt and my jogging pants, just sitting like this, like, yep, there goes the webinar. Yeah.
Well, Craig, on that note, I'm a firm believer that when you look good, you feel good too, right?
Oh,
And
of course.
that's why I wear my bright shirts and stuff. Today, I've got a business meeting I got to be presentable for. That's why I'm wearing a jacket today. But yeah, when you look good, you feel good, right? And are there any other comments or questions, Craig, before we sign off?
Giuliano says our favorite Christmas sweaters for the December one, and Nad says pajamas are allowed. So I love it.
Pajamas, Nat, are always allowed, my friend. That's one of my favorite garments, pajamas. Trust me. Craig, I really want to thank you again. Thank you so much for sharing with the audience. It's fantastic. I love you, and I really thank you for your support and for sharing today. And for our audience members, again, thank you for joining us today. This is fantastic. You know, one of my passions in life is just showing love and sharing love every day. And the world needs more love. The world needs more people giving. And so please, I ask everyone every time on these webinars, show your love every day, share your love every day. Tell somebody that you love. Tell them verbally you love them. It will be uncomfortable at first if you've never done it before. However, I can tell you, folks, the more you say it, the more comfortable you become, and the person that you say it to feels more comfortable, because sometimes we're so guarded. We don't want to show our emotions, right? Folks, life is delicate. Life is delicate. Show your love every day and share your love every day. So on that note, Craig and all my guests today, thank you for joining us. We will see you in December. And again, I love you. I care about you. And some of you that are on today, we have met in person. And I want to continue meeting in person for either lunch or breakfast. It's so nice to see people and be humans again. And we're coming out of this pandemic nicely. So everybody be safe. Craig, again, thank you. And all my guests today, thank you. I love you. And we'll see you in December. Okay? Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Thanks, Craig.